Good day, welcome to the Automotive Dad and welcome to the Golf Mark 8.5. Now the Golf's been around for 50 years of generational change, but the one thing that you'll find is that the Golf really has changed, but it's not changed in a dramatically massive way. In fact, the last generation is probably the biggest jump that we've seen, but this version, Volkswagen have listened to the issues people had. They've adapted and they've made this better. So join me as I take a closer look at the Mark 8.5 Golf. So front end wise, Volkswagen kind of wanted to upgrade the design, even though it's a mild facelift. IQ lights, an emblem that lights up, and just a generally revised front end. The new Golf really looks the part. But when you compare it to how it looked 50 years ago, you can still see the resemblance. It's not changed a significant amount, but yet it has changed a significant amount. Now Golfs, as long as I can remember, have always looked like a Golf. They looked like the one before whilst looking revised, and this is no different. This is an entry model, but still has lovely diamond cut alloys, still has a lovely Golf design. That C-pillar, the same C-pillar design that they used way back when, 50 years ago, is still in place. So this is undeniably Golf. The fact is that this is a car that 50 years ago overtook the Beetle as their best-selling model. And you can see why, because this is the new people's car. So by all means, this needs to look good, but can't look too different from before, because Volkswagen are set in saying that even though the future may involve electric and probably will end up going electric, the Golf remains, and the Golf will always be fun and sporty and look like a Golf. Get to the back end, and the big revision really from the Mark 8 to the Mark 8.5 are just these updated IQ lights, which can give you a few different variants of nice going home, welcome, come to the car display, but otherwise the back end's not really been changed too much, but it's still that great look. I can't stress enough, Volkswagen have always made the Golf look really good, and each time they've improved it, it has been improvement. Sometimes the manufacturer releases a car that has a little bit of a Marmite reaction, but Volkswagen always seem to update their models, as long as it's a model that's already been out there, and get a positive reaction, always. Now put your hands up if you were slightly annoyed that every manufacturer started giving you haptic touch buttons instead of actual buttons. Volkswagen heard you, and in this revised 8.5, you have actual buttons on the steering wheel. Now, whilst the infotainment is still majority touch, as is the Climate, it's a bigger, better platform with ChatGPT in as standard. That's pretty mad. And the interior quality from that point just feels reliable. Normal Volkswagen quality. It feels good. Good visibility, good amount of headroom. The inside's a nice place to be. And this being a manual, which I'm really happy to say, it feels like a proper driver's car, like a Golf should be, even though it's not a performance car, but more to that in a minute. The seats are comfortable, the seats are holding. You really can't ask for more, especially as this is a lower end model, and the sound system as standard, as is always the way with Volkswagen Audi Group cars, is superb. Now, unlike so many cars in this class, the rear legroom is still more than acceptable, even if you've got a taller driver in the front, and this means you can fit an ISOFIX 360 baby seat really easily in the back. You've got two ISOFIX options. The fact that if it's one of the ones that doesn't work on the seatbelt and has to have a leg down here, you're not hitting the seat. You can have your seat at a reasonable position without affecting the seat behind you, or you having to have the seat in a position for your child so that you're kind of feeling a little bit awkward in your driving position. The interior space is just really, really good. I think Volkswagen are nailing this so far. Now let's talk boot, because as a parent, it's really important you have a good amount of boot space. And sometimes you look at a boot and say, it's really deep, but it's not really wide. So I'm going to struggle to get a big pram in there, or my bags, or this and that. Volkswagen have heard you, because not only have they given you a deep boot with a good amount of actual space this way, there's a reasonable amount of space in width. So whilst you may not fit a fully assembled bottom part of something like an eye candy, you will probably have to take the wheels off. You will be able to fit the frame and a bassinet or seat back in here really, really easily. The space is exactly what you expect from a Golf. The Golf's always had a decent boot. When you look at the platform that is based on the same Octavia platform, the Octavia has an extensive boot for not much extra interior space. So Volkswagen have really made the best of quite a small car and made the boot accessible, usable. I could fit 10 of these bags in here and have space for more. So from a family point of view, this boot is more than acceptable. Now let's talk driving, because it's a really important part of a Golf. A Golf has always been a bit of a driver's car. And this is powered by a 1.5 litre petrol engine. Now that 1.5 can come either as 115 PS or 150 PS, but both are refined, nice and easy petrol engines to drive. You can still get the Golf as a diesel, but the biggest thing I'm immediately noticing is the fact that this Golf gearbox is still that lovely throw. I remember the first GTI I ever drove and I thought, no, not every Golf can surely have a gearbox this nice. And they do. They genuinely do. And from the point that on the road, this just feels connected and direct. The engine has enough performance to enjoy. This is a nice driver's car. Buttons instead of haptic touch bits and pieces. I'm really surprised because so often you get to a newer car with lots of aided technology. This has radar guided cruise control, forward collision assist, all that stuff, and it gets in the way. But for your everyday driving, this still feels really nice. And listen how quiet it is. It's so quiet with cylinder deactivation technology. On the motorway, you're going to see ridiculous fuel figures out of this. I'm really impressed that something which is supposed to be so eco-friendly and safety conscious still gives you this nice driving feel. Don't get me wrong, it's not a GTI in this guise. The GTI would feel a lot stiffer, but it feels nice. It doesn't feel undynamic. It doesn't feel like an eco-box, but it is an eco-box. So well done, Volkswagen, because the drive is pretty reasonable. So really, there's not much to say about the Golf. The Golf is as you expect a Golf to be. Extremely golfy, good looking, reliable, spacious inside, full of technology, good engine and driving dynamics, relatively affordable. And the fact that it's got all this technology is because it's a shared platform with things like Passat and Tiguan. And that's a really good thing, because it means all this tech that generally would be saved for the higher models and would slowly trickle down because it's a shared platform, now has immediately trickled down. I think this is a really, really nice facelift, upgrade, and I think this is an exceptionally good family car, even better in estate trim, but I think they've done a pretty good job.